What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about some Borderlands 4 story details that you may have missed from the Borderlands 4 Fan Fest that happened this past weekend. We've already had 2 videos out on this event talking about the trailer, but if you guys missed those, check those out. But we're going to be talking today about the details that came out in the descriptions of some of the articles that were written and some of the stuff that Randy talked about before the event kicked off. With that being said, we will jump right into some of the stuff that I read about the description, starting with get a glimpse of the Timekeeper's cruel reign, including the disturbing process of being implemented with a bolt, a spine-grafted cybernetic device used to dominate the populace. Soon after crash landing, the Vault Hunters are arrested and forcibly affixed with the device, trapping them on Kairos. The Timekeeper and his order are the ultimate superpower on Kairos, ruling from the impenetrable fortress city known as the Minion City. When Elpis arrived on Kairos' orbit and unleashed a cataclysmic destruction, the Timekeeper locked down the city and sent his commanders to deal with the fallout firsthand. Now the Timekeeper watches over Kairos from the safety of his tower while his commanders maintain his order. From humble beginnings, you'll travel across Kairos and ignite the revolution against the Timekeepers. People all across Kairos have begun to rise up, and this powder keg is set to explode. Enter Claptrap, self-proclaimed mastermind behind the Crimson Resistance, who's set on making the Vault Hunters his newest recruits. This does kind of go hand in hand with what we saw in the trailer before, where we saw you're being drugged down the hall and then you're being affixed with the bolt. We didn't actually see the bolt, but we did see the Timekeeper and being trapped and the Timekeeper's guards and just little flashes of things in there, and I didn't know any of that information until I read this, and I'm like, oh, that kind of makes sense, because we had talked about it. The one lady was holding the bolt in her hand. We didn't know who she was at the time, and we'll actually see her in the description of what Randy talks about before the event started. But the bolts allow the Timekeeper to not only control us and keep us trapped on Kairos, but they also allow the Timekeeper to see what we see. So that makes sense why we couldn't just get trapped on Kairos and be like, oh, well, we're going to leave. You know, the bolt keeps us there and it keeps us trapped, and it makes sense that we have to unite and fight back against the Timekeeper. With that being said, I did want to watch what Randy said before the event started, because it does play into a lot of what we've discussed here, as well as talks about just setting up the story and kind of the details and the tone of the story. It's very good storytelling, even just in a little 10 to 15 minute description of how the game is set up. It's just got a much darker tone, and I really feel like you guys, those of you guys that are excited about the story like I am, you'll really appreciate hearing this. All right, here we go. Let's watch this together. This is before the Fan Fest started. Randy gets on stage and talks about the game.
You want to hear a story? Yeah! Have I got a story for you? Kairos. It's a place of myth. It's a place of legend. In the Borderlands, Kairos is legendary. Many believe that the planet Kairos is real, that on the planet there's vaults containing more wealth, more power than all the rest of the galaxy. Those who worship the vaults believe that Kairos' secret is immortality.
That's what I'm curious about, the immortality thing.
Kairos is not a myth. The legends are true.
Like, why does he mention the immortality?
Suddenly, the planet of Kairos has appeared. Kairos was hidden. It was locked away under a shroud by the Timekeeper.
Makes sense.
On Kairos, the Timekeeper is a god. The Timekeeper reigned over Kairos for thousands of years. The power of the vaults.
I think the Timekeeper looks sick.
The source of the Timekeeper's immortality. The Timekeeper surrounded the entire planet in a veil, a shroud that prevented anyone outside of Kairos from being able to see its existence. And for anyone on Kairos, there's no sky, there's nothing. For the people of Kairos, above them is only the veil.
Makes sense.
There's no stars, there's no universe, there's no sense of anything greater than Kairos. Only the Timekeeper.
How depressing, you know, if he leads with a iron fist.
When you're born, the Timekeeper fits you with a bolt. It's a piece of technology that is jammed into your neck.
Yeah, see, this is what we talked about, the bolt.
Into your brain. It allows the Timekeeper to see what you see. If the Timekeeper wants, he could use the bolt to control your body like a puppet.
Oh, I didn't catch that part.
There's no
So he
freedom
can
on
control you too.
Kairos. The Timekeeper's control is absolute.
I wonder how that plays in with the Vault Hunters, especially if we've been
Timekeeper's
kidnapped.
maintained his absolute control over Kairos and its people for thousands and thousands of years. Until recently. Until the Cataclysm. The Cataclysm was a giant celestial mass, a moon, that suddenly appeared over Kairos and shattered the veil. If you've played Borderlands 3, you know that the moon was Elpis.
I gotta pause
you
it.
know the story.
Wouldn't it be kind of sick if we get to play, like the Cataclysm is the lead up to, you know, between Borderlands 3 and Borderlands 4, because he'll explain it, but it is the lead up. It is, you know, Elpis crashing through the veil to Kairos. I don't know. That'd be kind of cool.
Story of the siren Lilith and her home of Pandora, the entire planet being a massive vault. You know that the moon of Elpis was the key to the vault of Pandora, and you know that a selfish evil conspired to crack open the vault, crack open Pandora itself using the key of Elpis. And that if Pandora was opened, everyone Lilith ever knew or cared about or loved would perish. You know that Lilith sacrificed herself so she could save her friends, her family.
So is she technically dead?
She could save everyone that she ever knew and loved.
Immortality?
She used her siren power to teleport the key, the moon of Elpis, to teleport it away from Pandora, to teleport it across the galaxy. And maybe it was luck or chance, or maybe it was destiny assured by the nature of sirens and the connection.
The only thing I'm curious about is how the new Vault Hunters tie into this game. Like, how are the Vault Hunters there? Like,
they have with the powers of the universe. Whatever the case, Lilith moved the moon of Elpis, and she had no idea where it was going. But as fate would have it, the moon of Elpis is what ended up on Kairos, shattering the veil and upsetting the perfect order of the Timekeeper. So for the first time in thousands of years, the legendary, the mythological Kairos became visible to the rest of the universe. And for the first time in the lives of the people of Kairos, the lives of their great-great-grandparents, the lives of their most remote ancestors thousands of years ago, the people of Kairos for the first time could look up at the sky and realize that they're not alone.
how creepy.
There was a woman. She was living her life among the farmers.
This is what we were
the
talking
workers of
about the other day. She actually is holding a bolt in her hand, straight up. We had talked about that, thinking that that was the case. It actually is the case. She's holding a bolt.
All she's known her entire life is the Timekeeper and his order. And on the day of the Cataclysm, she looked up into the sky, and for the first time, she saw stars, she saw the moon, she saw Elpis hanging over her head. Debris rained down, fell to the ground, including one of these, a psychomask.
I want one of
It
those.
landed miraculously in almost pristine condition in a smoldering crater a few feet from where she stood. She picked up the mask and she looked at it, and she saw its face, and she saw its eyes, and she knew that Kairos was not alone. She saw the symbol of the vault. She took it as a sign. In the moment, she had a vision. This was a sigil, a symbol of freedom, a symbol of her future. She felt a tingle on the back of her
So
neck.
is she technically a good
She
guy?
reached back and felt the bolt. And she gripped the bolt firmly, and she ripped it from her spine, from her brain. And for the first time in her life, she felt freedom. She was free. She brought liberty to Kairos, sometimes by force, some because she convinced people it was worth the risk. It was dangerous to see the bolts were
By
attached
force,
to
so
the spine and
probably
the
not.
brain. As the bolts were ripped, many people died. Some were made insane or broken by the damage caused. But those who survived rallied to the woman's call and the banner. and they called themselves the Rippers. And they were free, and they went wild. They began a rebellion against the Timekeeper, a rebellion against his order. There's
some more. So these are technically Rippers? Interesting. See, they don't technically look like good characters, but we'll see.
War brewing on Kairos. The Timekeeper's stakes are extreme. His life, his immortality depends upon his control over Kairos and its people. The Timekeeper has an army, a synthetic army he calls the Order, and they fight for complete dominance and control. The Rippers are fighting to destroy the Timekeeper, to tear down his authority. With the taste of freedom fueling them, the Rippers are called to chaos and disorder. And the planet itself is dangerous. There's wildlife that will eat you to survive. It's a harsh and wild environment. Ecosystems do not care whether you're with the Timekeeper or the Rippers or if you're on your own. It's a dangerous world. But then there's you. You're a vault hunter.
Heck yeah.
You know the legend's real. The most powerful vaults in the universe.
How did we get here?
The disruption there makes it dangerous. But as my buddy Marcus says, where there's danger, there's opportunity. You got to find a way in. You are a vault hunter. You will go to Kairos and you will hunt the vaults. Along the way, you're going to meet people who are there and others who have arrived. You're going to find yourself in the middle of a civil war, being asked to pick sides. Keep your eye on the prize. Not only can you survive Kairos, but you can become a legend. This is Borderlands 4.
So see, that leads me to believe that, you know, there is going to be a big team up here because, you know, you have an open world, and usually when you have an open world, you have to fight your way through the open world to get to the other side. And I wish I could pull up on the map. You can actually kind of see that central city that they talked about in being his stronghold. And I bet you have to fight your way through and team up and gather teammates to be able to take on the Timekeeper. But this is really interesting stuff. I didn't actually watch this. I got to the live stream late and ended up just watching the trailer. And then I was like, well, you know, I wanted to make some videos, so it's interesting stuff. I don't know what you guys think about this, but I'm very excited for the story. I'm excited for the darker tone. I'm excited for the ability to play this game and actually enjoy the story because I loved Borderlands story from the first one. The second one even had a great story. Didn't really enjoy Borderlands 2 as much in terms of just the overall package. You know, shame me for that. I know a lot of people love Borderlands 2, but then Borderlands 3, I loved it for the gameplay. The story was just meh. So hopefully getting back to the solid story that we know that they can tell with a Borderlands story. I just can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to the gameplay. It looks like the whole package is here. The gameplay, the story, the mechanics, everything. So that being said, you know, what do you guys think of this? Do you guys think this is going to be a much better story than we've had in the past? Do you guys play the game for the story? Do you guys enjoy the Borderlands story? Or do you guys just skip it and play all the stuff for the gameplay? Let me know down in the comment section down below if you guys enjoyed this video and this deep dive into the discussion of the story and the little bits here and there. Let me know. Let's talk about it down in the comment section down below. Give this video a big thumbs up. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.